Hey guys, before this video starts, I just want to say for some reason I say biochem for the majority of this video rather than biochem, the crafting skill. It's honestly a meme, but I thought I would roast myself before you guys roast me. So anyways, besides that, enjoy this video. Hello everyone, this is Supersnoopy here, back with another SWTOR video. Today for you guys another SWTOR discussion video. Today's SWTOR discussion video, we're just going to be going over the topic of reusable stems and legendary augments. Now, this is a discussion video that I didn't really make on when these two things were released, but I thought it would be a good video just to kind of talk about what some of the player complaints are with them and why I believe that some of these complaints may be worth mentioning, or in a sense that they aren't really worth mentioning at all, or that they aren't really strong arguments. So I hope you guys enjoy this SWTOR discussion video. As always, if you guys enjoy these videos, then make sure to leave a like. And if you guys want some gaming mints, then check the link in the description down below. Catalyst gaming mints. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in this discussion. Alrighty guys, so let's get into this discussion video right now. So there are going to be two parts of this particular discussion, one on the reusable stems and legendary augments. I'm going to be going over reusable stems at first. So there are two main arguments, or essentially basically three main arguments that a lot of people tend to talk about with the reusable stems, even now occasionally, is that they were of course removed and brought back. That's obviously a fact. People also feel like it forces them to be biochem to of course get the reusable aspects so they don't have to pay for them. And then also people felt like it ruined the economy of stems in some way, shape, or form. So I'm going to be tackling these ideas each individually. So first, the main one, that they were removed and brought back. I can understand why people feel like it was kind of pointless for them to actually remove them and then just bring them back, back later. And I do agree that when this did actually happen, it was a little bit disappointing because I did, of course, have biochem before, just so I did have the reusable aspects for these stems. And there are some people that actually do that, and I know that some people obviously disagree with that, having a crafting skill purely for a value that can get you something rather than actually crafting. But that was the way it always was, and that was essentially my process of doing it. So I can understand why people are a bit irritated by that, but then again, you also have to consider that was already technically in the game. They just decided to remove it. So, I mean, that's a fact, and I'm not really too bothered by it, and I can assume that, some people may be bothered by it, but once again, considering it was already in the game in the first place, there's not much to really say about that. And then to the next one, people feel like it forces them to be biochem. Now, honestly, I can agree with this fact. I know that a lot of people feel like, oh, hey, I need to get biochem so I can have a reusable stem. Now, once again, completely understandable why people will feel this way. It's completely fine to actually feel this way in a sense, since of course, with biochem, you can constantly reuse them. You don't have to keep paying credits every single time to get stems, the med packs, and the adrenals and all that different stuff included with it. So that is a good, valid point, but once again, it kind of stems to the beginning, how this was originally in the game, it was removed, and then brought back. So I feel like it should actually keep those particular values. I feel like in that point, just making them reusable for everybody. Now, while still would be very nice, I feel like that would also, once again, that would completely ruin the stem economy. I know that some people feel like it still got ruined a little by these reusable stems coming back, but definitely, full 100% having complete reusable stems for everyone would really just kill the economy. There'd be no reason to actually buy stems anymore, which, that would just completely defeat one of the sole purposes of biochem, which is, of course, making the stems and stuff for characters to use. Now, into the final point, it ruins the economy of the stems. Now, I can see why people would say this, since they were removed. Once again, it always, I say the main idea here, it always stems back to the fact that they removed it, but they removed it, people were like, okay, we don't have to really worry about those, no big deal. And then they came back, and then people are like, hey, what the heck, no one's going to buy our stems anymore because everyone's just going to roll biochem. And I think some people also need to realize is that maybe for like your main character or something along the lines of that, you might roll biochem. But let's be honest, if you are a crafter and you're just honestly crafting a bunch of I say like tools and materials for your characters in the game. I highly doubt that you're gonna decide to make every single character you have, including alts, to just biochem, unless you purely don't want to pay for stims. Because let's be honest, they are relatively cheap. I know that a lot of people just like the reusable one, mainly due to the med packs and the adrenals, since those can become pretty costly if you just constantly use them 24/7. So I can see why people would say that. But once again, I feel like it's such a little impact on the economy. I highly doubt that it would completely screw it up when it comes down to just these stims. And also with the current state of the games, credits are heavily inflated and are all over the place. So honestly, that isn't even a matter to really be worried about. So those are the three major arguments and kind of facts that people have talked about when it comes down to the reusable stems. Pretty straightforward, not much to really go over there. But of course, there are some points that I've seen that people have mentioned, and I just kind of want to go over them. And now on to the legendary augments. So these also, or essentially, I mean, this has like two main points that a lot of people say. Honestly, just before we even get into this, I think that is pretty cool that they decided to include legendary augments along with all of the legendary armorings and all that different stuff. It's cool that they are really focusing on bringing this new rarity of gear just to the game. And in that sense, that is pretty cool. But anyways, let's get to the points. So we have the two ones, and the first main one that a lot of people say is they feel like if you have a complete set of these legendary augments, it will make the content way too easy. And this is particularly referring to operations and PvE content, but of course you could make the argument in PvP as well that does give you some extra stats, because at that point you probably don't even have to worry about the bolster, and you're purely focused on getting that quality gear. And then the other one is pushing the idea of gear being more accepted over anything rather than just a pure skill. Now, for the makes the content too easy claim, I can see why people would say this, of course, since they are just including this after all this time we've just had augments that are purple gear. And I can see why people would say that, of course, because like I said, just adding all these extra stats and stuff does, of course, make you a lot more powerful. So I think it does, technically, it gives you a cushion, but to say that it makes the content too easy would be, I don't know, I feel like that would be too much of a general statement. It still will be if there's some difficult content. Obviously, it still will be pretty difficult to complete. But I say just having these legendary augments does give you kind of a cushion in a sense. Gives you a nice little cushion to have just in case you make some mistakes or there's just a DPS race or burn in a certain fight. And also same with PvP. Now, obviously, in PvP, it's completely subjective because there is a skill and all that different stuff, just a player combat. But it does give you a very slight advantage in the sense that once you beat the bolster, you do have those extra slight stats. But of course, if everyone is just working towards it, it won't be that much of an issue. But it is now there, so it's just constantly just raising the stats that you can get on one particular toon in the game. And then the other little argument and idea is pushing the idea of gear being more accepted over everything. And then with this one, I mean, to be completely fair with it, is I don't think that people are going to push this idea that gear is being more accepted over everything. I feel like they're definitely going to take into consideration with gear, especially if you're like going into a pug or something. But if you're with like a guild or something along the lines of that, or even just like ranked PvP, if people are seeing how you play and you're playing a good quality way, you just aren't just doing stuff for no reason or not really playing a class correctly. I mean, people are going to, of course, take into consideration gear, but if you are a quality player and people actually realize that, they aren't going to just be like, oh, hey, you don't have this particular gear, we are not going to let you run this. But, I mean, sometimes if you go into pugs and stuff, people do want a gear requirement if they are doing a pug for a harder operation. I mean, for example, if you were just to go into a Temple of Sacrifice hard mode operation, you sometimes have people that would like ask for a minimum requirement of gear. Now, you can obviously disagree with that or what they actually do, but once again, if they want that, then that is where the legendary augments could come in, where it does give gear being more accepted. But you have to consider that that's always been here with the game, even before we saw these legendary augments. So I think in the end, just looking at both of these, is that they are good things that were added, and I can see why some people disagree with these statements, but I feel like there is mainly just purely upsides with this. I don't think it really messed up too much, but of course now we do have these new tier of augments, and also we just have the return of stems, which I feel like is pretty useful for someone that actually has the biochem crafting ability. But yeah, guys, that's all for this SWTOR discussion video. Just a quick little video going over some of the things that I've seen that people have said, just relating to these two things that were in the game or are currently in the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this SWTOR discussion video. If you did, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.